All right, I promised you guys part 2 of what role does your principles play in choosing a mate. You ready? Here we go. I want to start out by saying that I do this because I've never met a person who told me honestly that their goal, their original goal in life, was to be alone late in life. Just like as a fitness professional, no one has ever set the goal to be unhealthy. And so that's the vantage point that I come from when I'm talking about principles and values and decisions and things like that. No one can honestly say that the original goal that they set for themselves in life was to be alone late in life. And so as we go through life, we collect values, we collect principles. And it is the sum of those values and principles that become our tools that will either empower you or disempower you. How do you know if the principles that you have collected along the way disempower you? Well, let's take a look at your actions. This is something very tangible because your actions are visible principles. They are your values and principles on display. Your actions and also your non-actions are the physical manifestation of your values and principles. And if your principles and values disempower you, you will not accept responsibility for your own shortcomings and weaknesses. Let me give you an example. Recently, a client told me, she said, eating out at restaurants is my downfall. And this wasn't the first time that I heard her say this. And so my response was, well, why do you keep telling me this? My downfall is eating out. Why do you keep telling me this? Understand that the whole point in life is to discover your weaknesses. And once you discover the weaknesses, you address them head on to either gain control of those weaknesses or get rid of the weakness altogether. So once you've discovered what your downfall is, you cannot keep repeating the statement, eating out is my downfall, unless you're saying eating out is my downfall, therefore I eat out. The problem with that is it's such a disempowering statement because she's not taking responsibility for her own actions. I guess it's the restaurant's fault, and maybe we should have them close shop to help her out. You see, when you look at it from that viewpoint, it sounds a little bit absurd that you can identify your own weakness and yet it remains a weakness. One way to check your principles is to ask yourself, are you drawing closer to the true desires of your heart, or are you drifting further away? So let's take a look at your last few failed relationships. Was it you? Was it your mate? Or was it your weaknesses? What was the problem? You know, I told an organization of black women that there is nothing comparable to a man's urge, the urge that a man has towards a woman that has captured his attention. This is something that is hardwired in every man's brain the desire for a certain type of woman. There is nothing comparable to that urge. Kingdoms have toppled behind a woman. Governments have crumbled behind a woman. The power that women have, it is just, there's nothing that can measure up to it. But if you are disempowered, then though you attract certain men, what is it about you that overwrites this built-in mechanism that every man has that makes you irresistible? What is it about you that overwrites that mechanism and allows the men that come into your life, after getting to know you after a while, they are able to resist you? And unless you're saying that it's all his fault, then I would have to say fine, but you chose him. And then it was the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So the question is, if you're constantly rethinking, constantly regretting, constantly reliving one failed relationship after another, I ask you again, is it you? Or is it him? Or is it them? Or is it your inability to acknowledge that it's really your lack of well-developed principles and values that cause you to remain stuck in this cycle? Of course, we're going to have to take the time to develop part 3. I'm going to leave you with those thoughts. What role does your principles play in choosing a mate? And as you go through life, the sum of your values and principles, these are your tools that will either empower you or disempower you. Your actions are the physical, visible manifestation of your principles. So we're going to take inventory of the principles that you are built on to try to determine what is it about you that overwrites a man's attraction to you, to where he can actually resist you, and you are supposed to be irresistible. We're going to take inventory. And remember, I'm only here to help, because I want for you what I want for myself. I want you guys to be happy. I want you to be healthy. I want you to live a life of longevity and fulfillment. But above all these things combined, I wish upon you many, many blessings. And as always, my name is Jay Jackson, and I am looking forward to your response. Stay tuned for part 3 of what role does your principles play in choosing a mate.